Hello and welcome to the Local 303 Virtual Meetup. It's our Indie 1023 gathering to celebrate the Colorado voices that you're hearing on the radio each month. And by the way, Happy New Year to you. New year, new variant, you know. Over the next half hour, we've got some conversations with a quarter of the artists in the Local 303 this month. Stick around, we're gonna be talking with Allison Lorenzen, Fast Eddy, Zoe Berman, and Adiel Mitchell. Adiel's also gonna perform a couple songs for us, acoustic. If you are new to tuning in, it's awesome to have you here, and thanks if you're a repeat guest as well. My name is Alicia Sweeney, and I want to welcome my co-hosts, Demi Harvey, Jeremy Peterson, and Bruce Trujillo. Hi, you guys.
Hello.
Well,
Hi.
Hi. I hope you're excited to get to know the Local 303 better, some of our artists, and you guys know how it works. Over the next 30 minutes, we take turns having bite-sized interviews with our artists, and then Adiel will perform. And each time we host a meetup, we have a random question that we ask all of our bands and each other. So I want to ask you guys before we dive into interviews, what's something you're looking forward to in 2022? Jeremy, you want to go first?
Oh, geez. What is time? Probably new music. I'm certainly not going to plan any live music because I'll get my hopes up and have them dashed once again. But there's so many records that are coming out from bands that I love. New Superchunk, that new Big Thief album sounds fantastic. There's a whole bunch of others. So new music, and obviously the bands I haven't even heard of yet. I always look forward to those every year.
Totally. How about you, Demi?
I don't really know. I guess probably spending more time with people that I love. That's probably that.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking forward to like leaning into homesteading a little bit more because I've just like succumbed to the fact that it's probably going to be another year at home. So I'm looking forward to that, teaching myself some new things.
I'm already a homebody.
Yeah, that's true. You're a good plant mom. Also a good plant mom and a good doggy mom, Bruce Trujillo. Bruce, what are you looking forward to this year?
Well, I want to say travel. I do have tickets to go out of the country, but like Jeremy said, I don't want my hopes dashed again. But I am planning like a little road trip down into like Santa Fe in March. So I'm excited for that. It's supposed to be for live music, but even if it's not, Santa Fe is still enchanting and wonderful. So it'll still be a good trip, even if I have to go car camping. So we'll say that for now.
Car camping, it's a total thing.
Totally.
All right, well, let's get started with our meetup. But let's hear from some of our artists, what they're looking forward to in 2022. And let's also talk to them about their great music. Bruce, we'll let you kick this off. You've got Micah from Fast Eddy.
I do, kicking the year off right with a brand new album. In fact, how's it going, Micah?
Great, how you doing?
Good to see you, even if it's virtually, even if you're up in the mountains and we're down here in Denver. How you been?
I've been great. How about yourself?
Good. Super excited that this new album, Take a Look, is out now. Tell me about finally getting this one out into the world.
It's been such a long time making this album. I mean, we actually debuted the first two singles off of it on Indie 1023, or I guess it was just CPR back then. But so that was, when was that? It was like 2018 or 2019. And so that's how long this record's taken to make, because we have to go, our producer lives in Atlanta and our engineer lives in Atlanta. So we've taken these little bite-sized trips to record these songs. And people thought we were kind of crazy to do it, but they just do such high production value with our engineer and our producers. So it's like, with our budget and our own constraints, it's just taken us a lot of hurdles to get this together. So it's really awesome to finally like have a tangible product and be able to get it out. So
well, and I remember when you did come into the studio and you performed these songs for the first time for us, you were saying like this project is something that you've been dreaming of forever. So I have to imagine that the album out now is just kind of surreal, especially after the past few years.
Yeah, it's just a relief. It was almost like I was like, God, this is just not gonna happen. Like at a certain point, I was like, this is just never gonna freaking happen. It's taken so long, but it worked. I mean, we got the whole album and everything assembled like last May, and we just barely got the records now. But all of the record pressing plants are so backed up from supply shortages and all that stuff. So it took a while for them to catch up to even get our order in. So, but
Dang. Well, live music, you guys have done like a couple of shows throughout the past few months. You've got a New York City show coming up in a few days, fingers crossed. Tell me about getting back on stage and performing this like rock your face off rock and roll to crowds again.
It took me a while to kind of dust off the rust, honestly, because when I first got back on stage, it had been like 2 years. It felt not 2 years, almost 2 years since I last performed. And it was a little bit nerve-wracking for the first time, honestly, because I started doing live performances when I was like 14. So it's like trying to get back my stage sea legs or whatever after I don't know, like I had never had really stage fright or anxiety in the last probably 10 years, and then lately I've been like, it was almost like refreshing to get a kick to like have to put more effort into my performance again. But I finally feel really good. With the band's been performing a lot better, and so we're really stoked to be performing again.
You all set for New York City. And then before we get to the question of what you're looking forward to in this next year, is there anybody in particular in town that you haven't performed with yet that you would like to in the future?
As far as local artists,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that we share sort of influences and a lot in common with Pink Fuzz. And I know John and Lulu from that band, and they're awesome. I don't know why we've just kind of like never linked up for a performance, but it seems like they're always busy when we're asking for shows, or the same on our side. So, but
Maybe it's just going to be it'll be too good of a show, but hopefully that'll happen. So what are you looking forward to for the rest of this year?
Well, the band, we're finishing up this tour on the East Coast now, going back through Chicago and Milwaukee and then down to Kansas City. And we're just really excited to push this record, and working with our labels, Spaghetti Town Records and Drag Strip Riot Records out of Estonia, which is where the records are actually pressed, and then Boulevard Trash from Tulsa. So we're just kind of excited to, like, I don't know, just continue working with these people that have put a lot of work into our product. So
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what you guys do this year as well. Super excited that this album is out. Micah, great catching up with you. Say hey to the rest of Fast Eddy for us.
oh, will do.
All right, we'll see you
Absolutely.
soon. Jeremy, I'm going to hand things off to you. We've got Zoe Berman up next.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. Zoe Berman making a return to the local 303. We featured her last spring, originally, specifically her song Lilac Hour. And now she's back, recent EP release called Freezing Heat. Zoe Berman, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be back. It's great to see you
How
all.
are you, first of all? We're a little bit into the new year here. How's it going?
It's going. In terms of music, it's sort of a slow return, getting back into the swing of things, and with the spike in Omicron, that's sort of given us we've had a couple of hiccups in terms of planning, but hoping to get back to live music soon, and for both my own band and also being able to go out and see shows again and have everyone feel safe and comfortable. So doing okay, all things considered.
Well, I know you were looking forward to celebrating the new EP earlier this month at Globe Hall. That didn't happen for Omicron reasons, but it's got a date. It's still happening.
Got a date. We're postponing it, and this way we can kind of give this record a proper send off. At this point, I think time sort of stands still and moves really quickly somehow simultaneously during this whole COVID thing. And So I like to think that it's still pretty fresh, even though we released the record in late November. But we had put off the release show because of the holidays, everyone being busy and thinking there might be a spike, and then here we are at a much larger spike. And so, what's a few more months at this point? It'll at least still have the celebration that we want to give it.
Indeed. No one's seen it live yet. So that's March 4th, right? At Globe Hall?
March 4th at Globe Hall, yes.
March 4th. So you've played a lot as a solo artist. That's something you've been doing for a long time. But your band, which I love the band name, The Love Seats, there must be a story there. Is that a relatively new development? Tell us about The Love Seats.
Sort of. So I lived in Fort Collins for 2 years prior to moving to Denver, and I was in a funk band called Futon Down. And so a few of the players in that are the same players that are in my current band. And I let them pick their own name and said, what do you guys want to go by? And I think they wanted to keep it thematically related to the couch motif. So they went with The Love Seats. It was that, or there was, I think they threw around the Backseat Boys, and then that they put the kibosh on that.
The Backseat Boys, oh my.
Right.
So tell us about this EP. It's soulful, it's bluesy, it's jazzy, it's got those places where those genres kind of cross each other and blend into one another. Is this an EP that's one of those pandemic records? Or
yes and no. So this song is really sort of the culmination of songs I've written over the last 5-ish years, since it's sort of a debut effort in terms of releasing music. And so the songs kind of derive from different chapters of my life. I wrote a couple of them before moving out to Colorado, a few of them in Colorado, one of them when I was living in New Zealand. So some of them are very place specific and have sort of sensory imagery that's very specific to the places in which I wrote them. But it's funny, I mean, a lot of them, because I wrote them so far back and just, recorded them later on, sometimes, some of them feel like trying to squeeze into a pair of jean shorts from 7th grade, listening or playing them. But yeah, I'm happy to finally kind of have this collection of songs out and be able to move forward with newer material. And as Micah was saying, with his record, that it took a long time to get out. I didn't have those geographical constraints, but it did, for whatever reason, between COVID and a lot of other factors, take us about 2 years to get this thing finished. And so, yeah, it's been I wouldn't call it necessarily a COVID record, but it culminated, in the time of lockdown.
that's the case with a lot of debuts, right? I mean, you've got songs that you've written in the past. You've probably been playing them and playing them out for a while. That's kind of how they've developed. Did those end up changing a lot once you got into a studio and recorded them and played them that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's always, for me, I feel like songs don't fully exist in their fully realized form until I play them live. In terms of the meaning of them and how that fluctuates once I've played them on stage, and then, people come up to me after a show and say they connected with a song, and then that sort of can shift the meaning of the song for me, but also just in terms of settling into the arrangements and how they're played. And one song that was drastically different from the live setting to playing it on the record is Lilac Hour that you mentioned. That song I took into the studio completely a cappella. I had written it on a sort of a sunset bike ride in Fort Collins, and didn't have a lot of plans for how I wanted to execute it in the studio. Just knew that I wanted it to have a lot of found object percussion. So I brought that into the studio and started creating these atmospheric sounds with sugar packets and shaking sugar packets and tapping on a whiskey jug with a mallet and like swiping along the side of a lampshade. And so that song's cool. It's got a lot of just a mix of synthetic and organic percussion sources, and it came together in the studio.
I was going to make a joke about hearing that sweetness in there. Never mind. But one song that didn't make the cut, and we heard it in a performance that you did for us last spring, was what was it? The Wookiee song? I just have to mention that as a bearded person.
The Wookiee song.
I wasn't offended by the Wookiee song. Yeah.
That'll probably be on the next release. But that's a song that I wrote about my experience of dating in the state of Colorado. I think sometimes I perform that live, and either it's a little too real for people, or it gives them a nice comedic release.
Some people feel seen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people feel seen in that song.
And then Freezing Heat, the title cut, which is it's a little bit tongue in cheek maybe, but it's very personal. And you call it a unapologetic expression of personality. It's basically summing yourself up, I guess.
Yeah, well, because I think that song is just so idiosyncratic by nature that I want people to be able to connect with it in terms of the musicality of it and the bluesiness, but I know that the specifics of that song are very just personal to me, and it's kind of, I call it that sort of unapologetic expression of self, in that, you know, it's sort of saying, this is who I am, can't really help the good and the bad and the clashing forces within, and so it is what it is. Take it or leave it, kind of a thing.
Well, we're glad to have it. It's Freezing Heat, the new EP, and we're looking forward to the release show again. That's March 4th at Globe Hall. But what are you looking forward to? You can't answer that show because that doesn't count. You have to name something else.
I gotta name something else. Can it be sort of related to that show?
Of course.
So in general, just the return, hopefully the return of live music in a way where we're all able to feel safe, and I hope that happens in the coming year, and that there's less of this sort of aura of you know, concern with basically just, you know, asking people to congregate and wondering if some people are going to feel unsafe and some people aren't, you know, and just worrying about people's varying levels of COVID comfort. I just dream 2022 would be for us all to be able to congregate and share music again, and not have to, you know, worry about those things. So hopefully we can see this finally come to fruition, and we can get back to whatever semblance of normalcy we're able to find after this.
Can you imagine? Yes. Amen.
Hard to at this point. It feels like a long time ago.
Thank you for being here, and I'm going to throw it over to Alicia.
Hey, and thanks again, Zoe, and thanks again to Fast Eddy for joining us as well. Stick around. In about 5-10 minutes, we're going to be hearing Adiel Mitchell perform, but now Allison Lorenzen. Hi, Allison. How are you?
Hi, Alicia. I'm well. How are you?
It's a good day. I love this time of year. And what I love this time of year is really diving into albums that kind of like support that sound. And I'm really into your album Tender that you released back in November. It's like such a perfect like winter time, even with our like Colorado summertime winter. Like it's like a perfect album for this time of year. So thank you for, filling my ears up with some goodness.
Thank you so much. And thank you for, representing it on the station and everything.
Yeah.
Really
But so what are you looking forward to in 2022 before we dive into this 2021 record of yours?
Yes. I would say I'm looking forward to music related, like forming a live relationship with the songs. So some of them I've played for years and like really different, sort of renditions, but there are a few of them that I haven't really gotten to play live much. So that'll be, and I feel like it's kind of, in the past, I've like formed the relationship with the song and then recorded it. So it's been kind of an interesting, like different method this time. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm looking forward to like deepening relationships. I feel like there's some really wonderful new folks coming into my life right now, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Is one of them Blue Book?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm so excited to be connecting with Julie in particular, and also the other women in the band. Yeah,
I know you're going to be playing with them for the show on February 12th at High Dive for the Blue Book album release, along with American Culture. So that's on our radar. And of course, on our website, we just update if shows get canceled or postponed. That is on there too. But so far, hopefully that show will still go on. Let's talk about this new album, Tender, of yours. It came out in November. This is your debut record. Like,
yeah.
You didn't put songs online until this past year.
Yeah, true.
When did that shift change? Because you're not new to making music. You lived in Philly, you had a band there, you've been in Colorado for 6 years. Tell me a little bit more about the history or the genesis of you and your relationship with releasing music.
Sure. So let's see. So I had a band for years called School Dance, and we were a band for like 5 years, and I think we only released a handful of singles, which is I think it's actually kind of amazing to be a band that long and have singles, but it worked for what we were doing. And yeah, so after that was also like a romantic relationship. And so after that ended, I just kind of needed to like separate myself in a way from like, I had put so much of my creativity into that particular relationship. And I felt like I had to kind of like extract it back for myself in a way. And so that was me taking a pause in music. And yeah, I think for a long time, I felt just kind of intimidated about releasing things like as a solo project. I felt like I should have a band or needed it to be like with others or for whatever reason. And actually I think part of that reason is that my background forever was dance, so I was always a dancer, and I felt like a dancer who made music in a way. And it took me like a long time to be like, okay, I can also be a musician as well as a dancer, like accepting that identity in a way. And so yeah, so I think just like finally deciding that for myself. And then as far as releasing music, Madeline Johnston from Midwife, she and I, we became friends over the years and had played a bunch of shows together, even as like when she was Sister Grotto and then Midwife. And then that was back when I was school dance. And then she and I kind of reconnected and she asked me to play some solo sets. And that was just like it felt like a pivotal thing to have happen. Yeah. And then she asked if I wanted to record a song with her producing it. And then we landed on Veil, which is the first song that was released from the album. Or actually it was released before there was an album in a way.
I understand that. I'm so glad you collaborated with her. It just makes sense to me to hear you both performing together. Now on your record, are you playing all the instruments?
I am not. So a good friend of mine came out from Philly actually and played guitar and bass on some of the songs. And then Maddie, played guitar as well on a few of the songs and added some vocals as well. So I played a little guitar, but that's not really my instrument. I played mostly piano, synths, and vocals.
Yeah, I love the piano and the synths on there for sure. It reminds me a little bit of like a Maria Taylor record is what I hear in your voice when I hear it. So I'm like, I could totally hear you on like Saddle Creek records or,
Ooh, that's awesome. Thank you. That's a huge honor. I like.
Well, maybe we're manifesting something for 2020. Well, yeah, well, it's super cool to talk to you. We're so thrilled to play your music on the air, especially this month. It just sounds so great, and congrats on the new record.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Really appreciate it.
Totally. All right, Demi, you are up next. We've got Adiel Mitchell here and his sister.
Yeah.
What's up? Good to see you.
Oh my God. It's like I haven't seen you in forever. It's fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
You
I feel like
have
I've been
been-
saying to a lot of people, like these last couple of months have been like very up and down, but I feel like I'm back in the up again. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm grounded. I got my foundation right. I've been praying and meditating. I'm in the right headspace and like all in time for this new year. So
This is great. I like that you're like getting yourself centered for this year. It feels like you're already manifesting some great things because if you're not following Adiel on his Instagram, you will see that you are jet setting. You're such a man of many talents. You're modeling, you're acting, you're singing, you're dancing, you're going viral on TikTok. You're just doing all these things. And the most recent thing that I saw is that you just came back from Joshua Tree. What were you doing out there?
yes. So actually I did a modeling gig with Crocs out in
The shoe.
Yo, I've done some shoots with them. Like I feel like we're genuinely, I'm a Croc family now. But we were out in Joshua Tree. It was my first time out there. It was beautiful. We actually did a Croc shoot together in Palm Springs, probably, when was that? Like a month ago?
2 months ago.
A month, 2 months ago. So then when I got the call to come back out, I was just like extremely honored. And yeah, it was cool. It was a smaller group this time, but like most of the production was exactly the same. Yeah. So like, it was like new models that we're posing with. Yeah. But I've like I've worked with some of them before. I met some new people, and most of the people in the actual crew I've known for a good, almost it feel like a year now.
Yeah.
And every time we connect, we just really connect like family. So
Well, you
it was
got the
dope.
Crocs plug, so you can get us a little sponsorship from Crocs. You know,
They literally
Get some
asked
free
me on the
Crocs.
light rail or the train coming back, you know, like when you land at the airport.
Yeah, the plane to the train.
When we were like coming back,
Train to the plane. There
they
you
were
go.
like, Adele, how many pairs of Crocs do you own? And I was like, to be honest, before I started working with y'all, like maybe one pair that I got from a TJ Maxx, and I was like, now I have 15.
Yeah.
Like I literally gave some to my dad, gave some to my girlfriend. Like I was like, I have too many Crocs. Like who wants them?
Instead of sneakerhead, you're a Crocs head. I get
I'm a
it.
Crocs head.
Crocs
You know, collector's items.
I'm manifesting
Well,
that Croc collab.
I just want to know, like, how are you able to do all of these projects and still work on music and just juggle all of these things like all at once? I feel like you're doing so much.
I feel like, and I always say this on about when I'm on gigs. Like I feel like I'm just so used to like music is my main thing. So when I'm out doing modeling things or acting things or even dance things, I feel like there's a sense of relief because I get to just exist. I get to just be. I don't have to try super hard. I don't have to try to, and I really try to not do that in music either, but like I don't, especially in those realms, because I'm passionate about them, but they're not like where my heart is. I get to just enjoy the moments, if that makes sense. So it allows me to do it allows me to do a lot of different things at once because I'm not putting so much energy. I always say on model streets, I'm like, they're like, you did such a good job. And I'm like, you dressed me. And I just stood here and smiled and gave a thumbs up. And you guys are like, yeah, that's great. So I feel like that's kind of what gives me the mental free space to move around and kind of do a lot.
You know, I see your natural talents when you're, you know, doing your thing, just going viral on TikTok and doing all these collaborations. You do some covers of other songs, but you also perform your own original songs. How is TikTok helping your music career flourish?
Oh, it's incredible. Like I feel like for a while, like most millennials probably were like, oh, I'm not gonna do the TikTok thing. I don't know how to do it. And then like one day I just was like, you know what, let me just see what it's about. We all felt this way about Facebook once upon a time when we were in MySpace. So like, why not just try it? And it's very similar to me because I had a really fun Vine run back when Vine was a thing.
Yes, Vine.
So it reminds me of the same type of like content in the sense of like, you get to just have fun with it, but it helps music because you just get so much more exposure to people who may have never heard you before. And all it takes is one person to hear something, really like it, and then they share it to their friend, and then they share it to their other friend. And like TikTok is such a viral type community that it's like once things start taking off, then it just kind of goes from there. Yeah. And it took a while to kind of funnel it back into like Instagram, right? Like I think for a long time that was like, I always saw Instagram as like, this is my main thing. Instagram's the big thing, TikTok's the thing I'm doing on the side. And then I kind of stepped into like, what if they're just their own? Don't even stress about trying to cross them over. And it's weird because as I did that, then crossover started to happen. Naturally. Without me being like, hey guys, I'm on TikTok, but please also follow me on Instagram. It's like, if you find me on Instagram, great. If you find me on TikTok, great. If you never see the other accounts, it doesn't matter. As long as you saw one thing and you liked it.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah. I totally feel that, you know, like I run the social media for Eddy and I just do so much social media stuff in general. So I totally feel that. Yeah. And I just love seeing your videos come across my For You page just naturally. Yes. And I'm always like, oh my God.
I know
him. But yeah, so last year, you also released like a slew of new singles, which is super exciting to get new music from you. I put them on some of my personal playlists because they're bombs. But your most recent being Focus on Me and Famous. And with Famous, what's interesting is that you wrote on your Instagram that you actually started that song in 2015. So like what inspired you to like finally get it out there now?
So me and my friend Nick, who we like wrote the song together and produced it, or we didn't produce it, but our friend Joey did. Shout out Joey. But we were working on the song, and one day we were just hanging out, and we had been like for years, honestly, back and forth about like, yo, we have these songs that we're sitting on. Why are we not doing anything? But then we both went solo because we were once upon a time we were in a duo, and we were just hanging out. And I think that we like, I don't know if anyone else does this, but sometimes like I like to just humble myself by like listening to old recordings and be like, oh, I remember when I thought that was great, and it is not.
You're like rough.
That is very bad. And we like stumbled on some early Two World songs, which was the name of the duo. And we like found an old unreleased EP of music that we were working on back in 2015, just listening to it and was like, this song sounds great. This is mixed well. Like we sound great, even though it's from that far back. And we just were like, you know what? Like, screw it. Why don't we just go into this year? Like if we enjoy something, we like something, let's just put it out. Because worst case scenario, nobody hears it, and then it's all right. We just release another song and move forward. Best case scenario, somebody connects to that story that we were writing about or telling back in 2015 in their current life. And then they're able to like use that energy to put back into their own art. So it kind of felt like a no-brainer, especially after hearing it and being like, okay, it doesn't sound bad. We thought it was going to sound bad, but it doesn't sound bad. Why not? And literally put it out, and like all of our old Two Worlds fans just kind of went crazy because they were like, you guys are back together. Oh my gosh, you're putting music out. And it was a really cool feeling. So.
Well, are you teasing a full compilation coming up? Can you tell us about that?
That could be cool. That could be cool. We'll see. I mean, like, I always tell him, I'm like, I'm open to it. I just feel like we're two different people and we have two different musical approaches. So like, it's hard sometimes in a duo. We're a lot more on the same page now, but it's hard sometimes because you really want to like make sure that your voice is heard as well as my voice. And if we don't have compromise, then we can't really move forward. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm not going to just try to talk you into it because then you don't actually want to do it. So I think that he's down. We've talked about kind of doing some newer project stuff, but we're also just keeping it open, like not putting too much pressure, like without going too deep into it. Back in those days, in the YouTube days, like it got to a point where it was so kind of stressful that we started to lose ourselves in it. And I feel like I've noticed that when we've reconnected, not so much recently, but maybe months ago, when we would reconnect over music, like those kind of tendencies would return, you know, even though so much time has passed, because for so much time we hadn't worked together on music. So when we got back in the space of like, yeah, let's work on something, it would kind of, we'd slip back into our old habits. So I think we're both kind of like, you know what, let's just see where this goes. We'll work on stuff because we're musicians and we're friends, but who knows? We might be teasing something. We got our own stuff going on, so we'll see what happens.
Well,
my
I don't want to keep you too long because you're also going to perform a song for us, which I'm super excited about. But one last question. What are you looking forward to this year?
I should have been thinking about this the whole time. I'm honestly looking forward to working with more people. Like, I think that I spent over, which was understandable because we're in a pandemic and we shouldn't be seeing nobody. But it's like, I feel like I spent so much time, even pre-pandemic, locking myself in my room, writing songs, recording, and like found a good rhythm with it. But there's something so magical about like working with songwriters, working with other musicians, working with other producers. And I, for a long time, was doing a YouTube beat type challenge where I would just have people either send me beats or I would just download a bunch and just have like writing exercises, because I would tell myself like, I don't want to be in a room with somebody and then they play and I'm like, I can't hang with that because I don't know how to write to that. It's like, I want to continue refining that tool in that ear, so that way when I work with more people, I can just grow that much more. So I'm excited to just work with more people, collaborate, put more music out. I definitely want this year, by the end of this year, I want to be like, yo, I've put out, I don't even know, but a good amount of songs that I can look back on and be like, I put out a lot of songs. I don't know why that's a big deal to me. I like putting music out. So
Well, I'm looking
collaborating
forward to
more
it.
music out.
We're all looking forward to it. And collaboration is just like such a beautiful thing, especially when it's happening here in Colorado. So I just can't wait to see what you do. And you're going to perform for us with your sister, which I'm so
Yes.
excited. And so it looks like we only have time for one song. We
Okay.
might see if we can do two, but we'll see what the time looks like towards the
Okay.
end. But yeah, let us know what you're playing and go ahead and kick it on off. Thanks, Del.
Let's do, I'm gonna do the new song, Focus on Me. I just yesterday came up with an acoustic version of it, like finally kind of, so you guys are hearing it for the first time and we're kind of like performing it for the first time. So we'll just see how this goes and just kind of groove from there. Let me hit the red light one time, press pause in the game right now. Whatever happened to I'm sorry is in trouble now. Right away your body, all attention, mention it. I feel your pain.
Just the other day, I was sitting in your place.
Just the thought of you bringing back. I'm sensing that there's something in between us, but we can keep it there. We can leave it there, yeah. Surely we could fix this if we don't touch, baby. But we can go out like animals. Tell me all about it behind the door.
I swear you're not alone. We both don't need to
Breathe in, let's take it slow. I just need you to focus on me, baby. I just need you to focus on me. It's not enough to watch you leave. I know we both don't like the apologies. Open me in the ring, I'm floating. Always can't prepare, we toasting. I just need to clear my mind. Take a to please what's mine.
sensing that there's something in between us.
We can keep it there, we can leave it there. Surely we can fix this if we don't touch, but we can go at it like animals. Tell me all about it behind the door.
I swear you're not alone. We both don't need to breathe in, let's take it slow. I just need you to focus on me, babe.
I'll let you take control. Push back a little more. Breathe in, let's take it slow. I just need you to focus on
LOL. Surprise. Can you play one more song?
Yeah. Let's do this. That was fun. Good
We're
job.
calling for an encore.
That was a-
Encore.
All right, this is a classic. A classic. Can I say that about my own song? It's a classic to me. And this is also my dad's favorite song. And I feel like I always have to say that every single time I play it. It's called All the Way. So sweet like sugars in my veins.
Sweet sugar in my veins, sweet sugar in my veins.
Smooth talking, guide you in my place.
Sweet sugar in my veins, sweet sugar in my veins.
So let me break it down for you, baby. Gonna keep that rhythm steady. Back and forth, say, baby, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Your body's worth celebrating. Let's not skip the waiting. Take my hands and I won't let you drop. Walk with me, baby. Come on. Give me all you got. Bounce with me, darling. Catch my vibe and don't be old. Let's go all the way.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
Up to the moon.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
I feel it too.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
Up to the moon.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
I'd rather run, I'm being honest. Never thought that'd be the hardest thing. Keeping secrets like it's hobbies. But baby girl, you got my heart on spring. Chase your water like a fountain. With the satin, with the dreams of me. Bend your body like it's magic. Yes, magic. Keep it little, let it cherry. Baby magic, gotta have this.
Oh, I got it.
Openly, you keep me snacking. Play a little till we back in.
Uh-oh.
Keep on playing when I'm back in. Stuck on you like you're a habit. Mess around till we find passion. And I know we must be doing something right.
Break it down for you, baby.
Gonna keep that rhythm steady. Back and forth, say, baby, don't stop.
Baby, don't stop.
Ooh, your body's worth celebrating. Let's not skip the waiting. Take my hands and I wanted you drop. Walk with me, baby. Give me all you got. Bounce with me, darling. Catch my vibe and don't get off. Let's go all the way.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
Up to the moon.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
I feel it too.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way.
Up to the moon.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the
One more
way.
time, Mike. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Feel free to unmic yourself. Sing.
Let's go all the way.
Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Let's go all the way. Oh.
This was awesome, y'all. We get together and do this every month throughout the pandemic to just get to know each other better, to celebrate our very cool Colorado music scene. And just talking with you all over this past little over half hour has just been so great to hear your stories, to hear your passion for making music, because we hear it and we love playing you guys on the radio. So I just want to say thank you all for joining us for the Local 303 Virtual Meetup.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This is
Thanks,
amazing.
guys.
Thank you.
And this has been the, 500th installment of the Local 303 Virtual Meetup. Is that about how long the pandemic has been? Like 500 months or something? Comedy is my pivot after this, y'all. My name's Alicia, Jeremy, Demi, Bruce. Thank you all so much for being here. Adele, Fast Eddy, who had to leave, Allison Lorenzen, Zoe Berman. Thank you for joining us, and we love playing your music on the radio. And thanks everybody for hanging out with us in chat and watching this virtual meetup. We'll see you next month.